Hey there, how you doing? What a time, huh? I was recently interviewed by Dorothy Lucy, who used to be host of Good Day LA, and her co-host, Carlos Clemente, for their Happily Ever Afters podcast. And it was really interesting to be invited. And I didn't think that Happily Ever Afters, as it came to romantic relationships, was going to be in my future, let alone I'd be invited to do a podcast on my own experience. So I just want to rewind a little bit for those of you going through divorce, relationships shifting and changing, or uncertainty, and just change altogether in your current world and your current experience. These can be really rough, challenging transitions. And I want to applaud each one of you that may be handling this now and facing it now. And I don't think it ever leaves, right? Once we're in this earthly experience, really facing challenges is part of the work, right? And it's part of the growth. Ultimately, I've come to see it as these challenges aren't, crucifixes for me to carry up the side of a mountain. They're opportunities for me to expand and grow and learn. So that attitude has brought a lot of soothing and equanimity to the way that I experience my life and the changes and shifts that are going to come. One of those changes and challenges that I experienced was divorcing an alleged narcissist who I really did love and had a child with. And ultimately, I knew that it wasn't to last. I knew it in my heart. I probably knew it as I married, but didn't really want to admit it. And I have a really core issue with abandonment, experiencing abandonment, and not wanting to feel abandonment on any shape or form. And that has caused me to sometimes pick from the lowest hanging fruit and oftentimes giving my power away, which I'm sure you're familiar with, giving your power away to systems, programs, you know, people, just the way we've been brought up to sort of manipulate to get what we think we want, which might be no abandonment, right? Someone who will always stay with us forever, when really you're selling yourself out to the system. Because again, you're coming from the outside in. I need that partner to make me feel whole. That's coming from the outside versus living from within your own being, and particularly your own heart, which a lot of us just sort of disqualify and push away. But the heart is where we really have a lot of our power, a lot of our authenticity. And I know mindset is important for many of us, but let's just ease off the mindset for a second and really try to go into your heart, because once you can do that, that authentically assimilates who you are and what you really want. What you really want. Do you really want a partner you're unsure of in exchange for not feeling abandoned? Or would you rather just hold on to that abandonment with both hands, right? And tough it out for a partner who may not be an exact fit? Well, that's what I had been doing until it brought me to my knees. And I went through the process of divorcing that alleged narcissist who actually sucked me dry. I was literally on the ground towards the end of that experience. And so when Dorothy Lucy and the Happily Ever Afters podcast invited me and my boyfriend Adam onto the podcast to talk about how we met and how our friendship turned into more, I was I was stunned. I was stunned that A, I had gotten to that point because I swore I would never partner again. I went 7 years with one date with intention, and I only went on that date because dear friends set it up and it meant something to them. And I knew it would go no further, and it did go no further. Um, but and then I met my boyfriend later online in an angel class. Believe me, he's not the type you'd find in an angel class, but there he was. And we were friends, and it turned into something more, both of us kicking and screaming because he had had a very fulfilling marriage with his wife, who sadly passed from cancer. And I had some interesting relationships and marriage that left me never wanting more. But experiencing what I have with Adam, I feel it's almost been my destiny to experience an authentic, loving relationship that's based on mutual respect rather than need. Um, and we talk about that in this Happily Ever's podcast, which was just released. So I'm going to put the link down in the show notes. And if you're interested in hearing that story, especially if you're in a relationship that's sour and you know it, but don't really want to face it, or just out of a relationship or a marriage for that matter, and don't think there's hope for you in the future, you may want to take a listen because it can give you fresh eyes and inspire you with hope to continue to move forward because the universe acts in very strange ways, as we all know, or we wouldn't be here, right? Um, anyway, it was really just nice to hear the story and hear, yeah, it was a long journey to get where I am now, but what I had to do was release my fear and surrender um, wholeheartedly. I mean, I didn't know what was going to happen after that divorce and if I was going to be able to keep my son in the same school system, in the same house for that matter. And all those things resolved, and they resolved quite beautifully, unexpectedly and magically because I actually stepped back and surrendered to my heart, and I allowed my little one to lead. And I know sometimes that's unappealing for many of you to hear about your little self, but this little self is fluffing powerful and knows the deal and knows the path if you're willing to surrender and listen. I mean, I know you have examples of when that intuition was clear as a bell and you chose just to shove it under the carpet. Just ignore it for now because maybe you could make it work out. And then things went awry, right? I mean, if you're like me, that's for sure. But especially now as we're going through all this change globally and change within our own being and change within our systems, there's never been a better time to understand that you have all the tools within you. And I used to get frustrated when people would say you have all the tools within you. What does that mean? You have all the tools within you? Well, we came in prepared, but somehow that voice within was negated. It was ridiculed. It was shamed. We were made to feel guilty for relying on it or mentioning we use it. And then we were shutting away all our insecurities, our vulnerabilities, and the fear and the lack. They all got shut down tightly into compartments in your body. And you may know that now. You may not know that now, but you may find that to be true in the future. So I am really encouraging you to find this strength, this willingness to just go within and see what you want. Try to figure out what you really want it's still hard for me to say, no, I'd prefer not to have that for dinner, maybe tomorrow night, but why don't we go out to this restaurant? That's still like something I have to stop down and think about. Maybe you don't have that issue, but if you do, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And by really allowing yourself to go within and discern and decide your self-esteem, your worth, and your clarity, just mushrooms, and you live in a different realm. You're not waiting for someone else to save you. You're aware that you can save yourself by living from within and out, and nothing, no person, place, or thing on the outside can ultimately fix that for you. There's help in every way, but ultimately, you take the action and it does get better. Things get simpler. Life isn't as anxiety ridden as it once was because you have more authentic stability within yourself. So, yeah, plug for this episode, please. Just explore your inner being and give it credit for the beauty and the power that is within you. That's easy to see. And it's time for you to accept it. So I would love to see you here next week. I think we have a gold conversation, which is a podcast episode, and it's with a young therapist. She's a licensed social worker. I think she's a PhD because she's a doctor of psychology, and all her family members were psychology attracted in some way or the other. And she realized she was also psychic and spiritual, and she wanted to bring that into her practice. So that's going to be a very interesting conversation for you next week if you have the time to tune in. And in between, there's tools on my site. Just email info@susangold.us if you want to do a grounding session, because the grounding is so important to really get to that inner power within yourself. If you're not grounded, it's pretty hard to do it. And the grounding is a little tricky in these times that we're navigating. We are in this together. I wish you well, and I'll see you next time.